Albania is a country located in southeastern Europe in the Balkan Peninsula with an Adriatic and Ionian coastline. Neighboring countries include Greece, Macedonia, Montenegro, and Kosovo. Albania has a strategic location along the Strait of Otranto linking to the Mediterranean Sea. The government system is a republic, the chief of state is the president, and the head of government is the prime minister. Albania, having transitioned from a centrally planned state in the 1990s, is an open market economy in which the prices of goods and services are determined in a free price system. Albania is a member of the Central European Free Trade Agreement, CEFTA. Geography. Albania is located in the southwestern corner of the Balkan Peninsula, occupying 28,748 square kilometers. It is roughly the size of the state of Maryland with a maximum length of about 340 kilometers and a maximum width of about 150 kilometers. Much of the country is rugged and mountainous. The highest peak is Korabi in the northeast at 275 m. Albania has 1,094 kilometers of borders, 30% of which is the shore of the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. Of Albania's lakes, the Lake of Shkodra is the largest in the Balkans, 368 square km, and the Lake of Ohrid is the deepest. The country has 152 rivers including the Shkumbini, which roughly divides the country into northern and southern regions. Climate. The plain of Albania, where the capital city Tirana is located, has a typical Mediterranean climate with hot summers and generally mild winters with abundant rainfall. In the mountains, winters can be very severe with low temperatures and high snowfall. On average, temperatures range from -3 degrees Celsius in January to a maximum of 35 degrees Celsius in July. Parts of Albania are on a fault line and experience earthquakes and tremors. History. At the beginning of the 3rd millennium BC, an Indo-European population was established in the area, and as a result of the merge, a population was conceived that retained specific cultural and language characteristics in the Balkan Peninsula, Pelasgians tribe. Between the 2nd millennium and the 1st century BC, the Illyrian population was founded. Like the Greeks, the Illyrians succeeded in preserving their language and traditions in spite of Roman occupation. Albania is considered as one of the regions with the most ancient population traces in the Balkans and Europe. There are precisely the evidences of numerous archaeological findings in different parts of the Albanian regions, such as those of Lepenica and Vlora, Tren and Korka, Zara and Saranda, nearby Shkodra at Selka, Dajdi Mountain, Prizren etc. That prove for traces of ancient population on Albanian territory. By studying these archaeological objects, it has been proved that the first Albanian settlements have started to be inhabited in the middle of the Paleolithic period, 100,000 to 40,000 years BC. Likewise, during the Neolithic period, 6000 to 2600 BC, it's indicated a much more dense population on Albanian territories. This is noted in the archaeological excavations carried out in the area of Korka, where 12 settlements are found belonging to this period. Such settlements have also been discovered in Kakran, Kalanji, in the valley of the Black Drin River in Mat, in Permit etc. The Indo-European population settled here at the beginning of the 3 millennium BC. As a result of this merger, a new population was created in the Balkan Peninsula, Pelasgians, which preserved the specific cultural and language characteristics. This ancient population became the ancestors of the Illyrians between the 2 millennium and I century BC. After its fall in the year 30 BC, and at the end of 3 Illyrian-Roman wars, Illyria fell under the control of the latter. After the division of the Roman Empire, 395 BC, Illyria became part of the Byzantine Empire. Although they were under Roman conquest, the Illyrians retained their language and traditions for centuries. Via Egnatia, the most important trade route between Rome and Constantinople, Byzantium, passed through the port of Durrës. The first 3 Byzantine emperors, Anastasius I, Justin and Justinian I, were of Illyrian origin. The attacks by barbarian migrating tribes, Visigoths, Huns, Ostrogoths and Slavs, continued during the V and 6th century. In 1344, Albania was under the rule of the Serbian kingdom. After its fall in the war against Turkey in 1389, the Arboresh principalities were created. The Principality of Balshaj was the most important one. The region was open to the Ottoman attacks, which gradually managed to take Arboria under the rule. The culmination of the anti-Ottoman resistance reached during the years 1443 to 1468, when the Albanian national hero Gjurgj Kastriot Skanderbeg led the revolt of the Albanians against the Ottomans. During this period, Arboria turned into a key factor in the entire Europe. After the formation of a coalition of Arbor feudal in the historical League of Lejah, held on March 2, 1444, the national hero, Gjurgj Kastriot Skanderbeg, led for 25 years the resistance against the Ottoman threat. There were 3 Ottoman attacks en Kruja, all of which failed, and only 10 years after the death of Skanderbeg, in 1478, they finally managed to capture Kruja. For more than 400 years, Albania was under the Ottoman regime. Albanian resistance continued during the subsequent periods, being inspired especially by the Illuminist movement of the Albanian National Renaissance, which emerged in 19th century. Successive revolts and efforts reached their peak with the proclamation of the national independence on November 28, 1912. The Assembly of Vlora established the first Albanian government led by Ismail Kamali. During the First World War, which broke out in 1914, Albania turned into a battlefield for different occupation troops, such as Austrian-Hungarian, Italian and French troops. The Congress of Lushnja, held in 1920, aimed to maintain the territorial integrity of Albania after the First World War. This Congress proclaimed Tirana as the capital of Albania. In the same year, Albania adhered to the League of Nations. After a period of political turmoil in 1924, the country went through a bourgeois democratic revolution, and immediately after it, the country was led by the government of Fan Nali. In 1928, the country was declared a monarchy under King Zog-I. The latter pursued a policy of rapprochement with Italy and Great Britain, but without being able to avoid a military occupation of Albania by Italian fascists. On April 7, 1939, the country was occupied by Mussolini's troops, putting an end to the monarchy regime that lasted 11 years. In 1943, the country was occupied by Hitler's Nazi forces. The resistance to foreign attacks is known as Anti-Fascist National Liberation Front. The end of World War II brought into force the Stalinist regime of Enver Hoxha. For about 50 years, the totalitarian regime followed a policy of isolation, leaving the country in economic poverty and totally isolated from the international community. Its economic policy was based on the principle of relying on its own forces, by banning loans and credits from abroad. This situation continued until 1991, when Albania, as a consequence of new winds that blew in Eastern Europe, eventually emerged from isolation. Since 1991, Albania holds pluralistic elections. The Socialist Party, along with its allies, is currently in power since 2013. Since 2009, Albania adhered to NATO as a member with full rights. The country is now undergoing a series of reforms, which aim the integration of Albania into the European community. Lifestyle customs. Albanians follow customs called the canon, and these are sets of traditional and cultural practices that have their origins in the laws of the Illyrian tribe that has been passed down orally from one generation to another. The canon has 4 pillars that guide the people in life, and they are honor, hospitality, right conduct and kin loyalty. The canon also has an honor code called Besa, which compels any Albanian to have the ability to keep their promises and see to their obligations in life, and it is the code of conduct that ensures that an agreement between 2 honorable members is seen to completion. The canon calls upon people to take care and comfort those who are in need regardless of their religious or racial affiliations, and this was the reason the Albanians offered refuge to the Jewish people in 1940s during the Holocaust. Cuisine. Food plays a vital role in the Albanian culture and is integral to the hosting of guests in any home. It is common practice for Albanians to invite each other over for a meal once in a while for bonding. Albanian food has much of Mediterranean influence, and the one that stands out as an aspect of Albanian food is the heavy use of olive oil in almost all of their dishes. When it comes to vegetables, the cuisine incorporates varieties that range from peppers, cabbages, zucchini, cucumbers, spinach, potatoes, and eggplants. Common Albanian spices and herbs include garlic, onion, basil, mint, and oregano. Their meat dishes vary from chicken, veal, lamb, goat, and beef. Being near the sea means that fish plays a significant role in the national cuisine from time to time. Religion. The people of Albania practice a diverse number of religions. Islam, Christianity, and Judaism all coexist peacefully. The constitution of the country allows for the freedom of worship without any constraint that can impede the practice of any religion. The country promotes religious tolerance. Of the three religions, Judaism is the oldest, having been introduced to Albanians in 1 BC. Christianity follows a close second with records dating back to the era of the Apostles. It is believed that Apostle Paul was the founder of the Durrës Archbishopric while spreading the gospel in Illyria. Islam arrived in Albania in the 9th century when Arabs raided the land from the Adriatic Sea. When the Ottoman Empire took over, Islam became the main religion of Albania and still has the majority of followers up to this day. Holidays. The people of Albania have a host of holidays that commemorate different events and notable individuals, and these holidays are spread throughout the year. On November 28 of every year, Albanians across Southeast Europe celebrate their flag and Independence Day in remembrance of the liberty they attained in 1912 from the Ottoman Empire. The event is usually marked with military parades in all the major cities. There is also Bajram, which is a Muslim holiday that is observed as a day for forgiveness, peace and moral victory, unity, and fellowship. The holiday is characterized by the slaughtering of a sheep and sharing the meat with friends, family, and the less fortunate in society. The date for observing Bajram varies from year to year as it depends on the appearance of the crescent moon. Dita e Veres is another holiday observed in Albania, and it is a pagan festival celebrated every 14th of March to commemorate the end of the winter season, the rejuvenation of the spirit and the rebirth of nature. The primary activity of the festival is the cooking of sweets and eating of dishes that comprises of turkey legs, dried figs, boiled eggs, walnuts, and simite. Interesting facts about Albania. 1. Albania is a country in southeastern Europe bordering Greece, Kosovo, North Macedonia, and Montenegro. 2. Albania was part of the Roman Empire and then the Byzantine Empire, the eastern half of the Roman Empire, when the Roman Empire divided into East and West in 395 AD. Byzantine rule lasted for nearly 1,000 years until the mid-14th century. 3. Ottoman Turks invaded Albania in 1388 and Albania became part of the Ottoman Empire until it proclaimed independence in 1912. 4. Albania was invaded by Italy in 1939 and then Germany in 1943 before the country was liberated when the Germans withdrew in 1944. 5. Following the Second World War, Albania became a closed communist state under Enver Hoxha and remained strictly isolationist until its transition to democracy after 1990. 6. Until his death in 1985, Enver Hoxha was Europe's last surviving wartime leader. 7. Albania's flag is plain red with a black two-headed eagle in its center. The design is believed to stem from the 15th century hero Prince Skanderbeg, who led a successful rebellion against the Ottoman Turks in 1443. 8. Albanians do not call home Albania. Instead, the name for the nation in its mother tongue is Shqipënj, which means land of the eagles. 9. Unsurprisingly, Albania's national symbol is the black double-headed eagle. 10. The 1979 Nobel Prize for Peace winner Mother Teresa was ethnically Albanian. Born in modern-day North Macedonia to an ethnic Albanian in 1910, Mother Teresa was canonized as Saint Teresa of Calcutta in 2016. 11. Albania is Europe's most at-risk country when it comes to natural disasters according to the United Nations 2020 World Risk Report. 12. Albania is one of the few Muslim-majority countries in Europe. As a percentage of the population, only Kosovo has a higher majority in Europe. 13. Albanians are the fifth heaviest smokers in the world. According to the latest report, Albanians smoke 2,491.60 cigarettes smoked per person per year. 14. The UNESCO-listed town of Berat is known as the Town of 1,000 Windows due to its many Ottoman houses spread up the hillside. 15. One of the most important archaeological sites in Albania is the UNESCO-listed site of Butrint. The ruins date from the 3rd century BC with the visible remains spanning around 2,500 years of history covering Greek, Roman and Byzantine eras. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe channel.